to the right place. No, don't get me wrong, because I believe in seeking help outside of the church. I'm not opposed to AA. I think it's helpful. I think it's needed. I'm not opposed to drug rehab. Some of us in here now may need to be there. I'm not opposed to anger management. Some of us in here right now need some anger management classes. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach it here now. I'm not opposed to marriage counseling. Many of us right here now need to go through some marriage counseling, or stress reduction classes, or some weight loss classes. Y'all won't help me preach in here now. But sometimes these only scratch the surface and they aren't enough. Sometimes they don't go deep enough. In other words, they deal with the fruit, but not with the root. Y'all gonna get this in a minute. You see, but there is a power that can change the root. See, if you don't deal with the root, you may pick the fruit off. But in season, the fruit will grow back. Oh, God help me here. But when you pull up the roots, then you kill the production of the fruit. And many of us, we deal with the symptom and not with the root cause that produces the symptoms. In other words, you got a headache. You take 2 aspirin. You dealt with the symptoms. You get temporary relief. But unless you go and get an MRI, or unless you go and let a doctor probe and see what the root cause of that migraine or whatever that problem is, you will continue to deal with the fruit and not deal with the root, and the fruit will continue to grow back. And that's the reason why we deal with the same problem over and over and over and over. It's a repetition over. We argue, we say we're sorry, we kiss, we make up, but we don't deal with the root. And so we're back at the same argument over and over and over and over again. Touch somebody and tell them you got to deal with the root. And I know there is a power that can deal with the root, that can change the root, and that is the power of God. So they took the problem to the right place. You have to know where to go when you have a problem. You don't take your car to the dentist to get it fixed. Come on, somebody. And you don't ask a plumber to fix your teeth. Am I talking to somebody? You don't want a janitor operating on your brain. They all might be nice people, but there's a right person for the job, and you've got to go to the right person. You may have good friends, but I don't care how good a friend they are, you're not going to get the deliverance that you need just sounding out the problems to people who are struggling with the same problems that you're dealing with. But David put it like this. He said, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Oh, the songwriter put it like this. Where do I go when there's no one else to talk to? Who do I lean on when nobody wants to listen? Who do I talk to when there's no foundation stable? I go to the rock. I know that he's able. I go to the rock. What rock? I go to the rock of my salvation. I go to the stone that the builders rejected. When the earth all around me is sinking sand, on Christ the solid rock I stand. I go to the rock. My sisters and brothers, when you're in a fight, in a struggle, when you're wrestling with an issue, whether it's spiritual, financial, emotional, or sexual, whether it's an addiction or a bondage or a habit, you better go to someone who is higher than you. In other words, someone who has the problem already underneath their feet. Somebody who's not wallowing in the same thing. You need somebody that can show you what it looks like to be free. Tell your neighbor, take it to the rock. Take it to the rock. Now tell your other neighbor, I go to the rock. They said to the prophet, this place is pretty. Look at there. It's a nice spot that we picked to live in. We like the neighborhood. It's not like Mason Square. Help me somebody. Yeah. Ain't no drive-by shootings happening. There ain't no crack heads on the corner. They ain't selling no drugs. They ain't not playing no loud music. It's a pretty good neighborhood. The place is pretty. It's a nice place. We like the view. From all outward appearances, it's all good. But notice in the text it said, but the water is naught. The water is cursed. It carries some kind of poison in it. Watch this. And it's making the ground barren. In other words, it's killing our future. What do you mean? No, it wasn't killing the men or the women or even the trees. It was killing the fruit. And thank God for some men in the city who wanted more than pretty. They wanted more than a nice look, but they wanted purity and they wanted power. They were more concerned about things being good rather than things looking good. The Living Bible said it like this. The water was causing the women to miscarry. There was something in the water that was killing off their seed. That means nothing was being carried to full term. Women were having premature births, and the offspring were not surviving. Nothing was being birthed. And I'm going to stop here for a minute and talk to some of God's people today that have let something into your heart that has poisoned your life stream. And so we've become unproductive. Our life has become barren. We have no joy, no peace. We have no passion for life. We're full of bitterness and anger and resentment and unforgiveness. We've let envy and jealousy and strife creep into our heart. And now even when something good does happen or when something good is initiated, it ends up drying up and dying because our life stream is poisoned. Proverbs 4:23 says to keep or to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of the heart are the issues or the streams of life. And my sisters and brothers, until we get those things out of our heart that are poisoning our life stream, our lives are going to be barren. We will poison every relationship that we get in. And let me just tell you right here, sometime we need to do some introspection because we always seem to focus on another party. We have bad relationship after bad relationship after bad relationship after bad friendship after bad friendship after bad friendship. And let me just say this, and I hope I don't insult you when I say it, the common denominator in all 8 of the failed relationships is you. God help me in here. You know, Malik was a dog, and Ray was a dog, and y'all ain't gonna help me now. And Leroy was a dog, and and Mike was a dog, and Talbert was a dog, and Lawrence was everybody can't be a dog. Oh, God, y'all, I just lost the whole audience here. Shafika wasn't no good as a friend, and Rashana was no good as a friend, and come on, somebody, and Cassandra was no good as a friend, and you are the common denominator in every one of those situations. And have you ever thought about that maybe there's something in my life that is poisoning every relationship, every endeavor that is fruitless? We make folk miserable that's around us. Nobody wants to, oh God, help me here. Nobody wants to be around us. We poison our friendships. We poison our relationships. We poison our ministry, and everything we say and do carries the toxin of the poison that's in our heart, and we soon become a dream killer. We end up finding ourselves resenting anybody that has a dream or a destiny over their lives. Anybody that's talking positive, come on somebody. Anybody that's talking the blessings of God, oh, they're just too chipper. They just too happy all the time. They just smiling all the time. Maybe you ought to smile sometime. Help me somebody. But because of the toxin that's in our heart, we poison everything that's around us. And so we've got to learn how to deal with the curse. I got to get to this blessing here. But my sisters and brothers, first we've got to learn how to deal with the problem. And the biggest problem we have is we want to blame everybody else. house. We want to blame it on the preacher. We want to blame it on the goose. Blame it on the henny. Y'all ain't going to help me. We want to blame it on the boss. Blame it on the wife. We get the Adam syndrome. The woman that you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit, Lord. If you didn't give her to me, I wouldn't be eating of this fruit. Help me here. Blame it on the husband. Blame it on the rebellious kids. Blame it on all those hypocrites in church. That's the reason I don't serve the Lord. That's the reason I don't go to church. Too many hypocrites up in church. There's hypocrites on your job. You go to work. Y'all ain't going to help me in here now. There's hypocrites at the movies. You go to movies. There's hypocrites all up in the restaurant. You don't stop eating. We want to blame everybody else. Blame it on our environment. Blame it on where we were born, what we didn't have, what we couldn't do, all the things that we complain about. If my daddy had been there, I wouldn't be messed up. You 50. I wish I had a witness in here. If mama hadn't hurt me, you 62. How long you going to blame your mama? So we complain, and so there's no change, and there's no deliverance, and there will be none until we admit that the problem is me. Somebody, don't tell your neighbor nothing on this one. Point to yourself and say, I is the problem. That's bad English, but that's good preaching. Look at somebody say, yeah, you are your own problem. It's me. It's me. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord. And these men said everything around us is not the problem, it's in the stream. It's the bitter waters that are cursing the ground and we're losing our future. No babies are being born. These men made a decision that they were going to fight for their future. They were going to fight for their destiny. They were going to fight for their families. They were going to fight for their sons. They were going to fight for their daughters. Their seed was being destroyed. I wish I had some men now in 2013 who decide that I'm going to fight for my community. I'm going to fight for the boys in the hood. I'm going to fight for my daughters. I'm going to fight for my community. Their seed was being destroyed. And may I tell you that one of the enemy's greatest fears, watch this, is that you will become who you are destined to be and do what you are destined to do. That's the reason why he's cutting off all these young men, because he's scared of what they're going to become if they ever fulfill their divine destiny. In other words, sisters and brothers, you have a divine DNA that was put in you before you were ever born. And every time the devil looks at you, he doesn't see you, but he sees the potential you of your destiny. He sees the you of your future. Matter of fact, the devil believes in you more than you believe in yourself. The devil knows that the seed that you carry has the potential to become something divine, and so he wants to kill the seed before it's ever even born. He's a dream killer. My. You remember Joseph? Joseph carried in him the seed of greatness, but he carried it in dream form. I'm going to preach this here. His brothers wanted to kill him, not because of who he was, but because of who they were afraid of him becoming. When you look at the account in Genesis, they said, we will slay